What sleeper AFC North receiver is being underdrafted right now? Who represents the best value in the Bears backfield this season? And is there a 2018 version of Alvin Kamara lurking late in Football Guys drafts? Plus, 5-time FFPC and main event league champ Kino drops by to break down the best way to attack the FFPC Pros vs. Joe's Challenge, why he's known as the tight end whisperer, and much, much more. We've got a great show for you. Dave Gerzak is here. I'm Eric Balkman. Stick around. Your high-stakes fantasy football hour starts now.
Hey, bro.
Broadcast live and heard around the world. You are now listening to the most entertaining hour of radio on the planet. It's the High Stakes Fantasy Football Hour presented by MyFFPC.com with your hosts Eric Balkman and Dave Gerzak. The High Stakes Fantasy Football Hour is your home for football analysis from the best fantasy players in the world. And now, because no one else was available, here are Eric Balkman and Dave Gerzak.
Shane, Rob, and greetings and salutations, all you Balkaholics and Gerzakin addicts. Welcome to the latest episode of the High Stakes Fantasy Football Hour presented by MyFFPC.com. I'm your slightly above average host, Eric Balkman, and my co-host is, as always, the patron saint of fantasy football, the Dizzle, Dave Gerzak. Coming up on tonight's show, what aging receiver is a must-get for your teams, which AFC South running back might see his value go down in the near future. And our guest tonight, Kino talks about how he's been able to enter the five-figure prize realm in the FFPC, who he's targeting in this year's Pros vs. Joe's competition, and a bunch more. Shout out to the chat room right now. Feel free to post any questions you might have for us or for our guest, Kino, tonight, now. HSFF Hour, Eric Balkman, David Gerzak. Those are all @ on Twitter where you can get a hold of us. And you can post on our Facebook page at facebook.com/HSFF Hour. 347-426-3682 is the phone number to reach us. That's 347-GAME-OVA. You can also always email the inbox, highstakesfantasyfootball@gmail.com. Our producer and mutual friend Rob, audio engineer Bryce, doing their best to get those questions to us in the fantasy feedback segment later on in the show. I want to remind everybody that the Football Guys Players Championship, Dave, the $2.1 million Football Guys Players Championship,
much better crafted,
has drafts filling daily, including drafts tonight. Room discounts at Planet Hollywood. Don't forget to check that out at myffpc.com if you do plan on drafting your main event team or another ancillary high-stakes team live. And, of course, Week 1 viewing for just $10 at Caesars Properties, restaurants, sports books, lounges. You can check that out at myffpc.com. Best ball drafts, classic drafts, superflex drafts, other types of drafts of the fantasy football variety. They start at $35 at myffpc.com. We have dynasty startups also going on as well. I am very excited to get the show started tonight, Dave, and I'll tell you why. For the first time ever in my life, when I was a kid, I never thought I would be in the media. I thought it could be, there's times where I thought it would be cool to be in the media, but I never really envisioned it. I'll tell you when I did envision it. I never thought I would be talking NASCAR, which is what I was doing this afternoon. I filled in for on one of the local radio stations here in beautiful Appleton, Wisconsin.
Do you have any knowledge of NASCAR? Or did you have to do a quick?
I had to do some research last night, and I had a 10-minute segment with Alex Hayden from the Motor Racing Network, who is actually a fairly significant. He's the voice of NASCAR, 17,000 Twitter followers.
Oh man, dude, that's a problem.
We had him on. It was a 10-minute NASCAR segment. Apparently, it went good. And he called me Saquon Balky on the air, which was very cool.
Nice.
But now we get to fantasy football tonight. Thank God.
Back to your wheelhouse.
I've limited out on NASCAR for the week. So yes, back to my wheel.
So who's the good guy this week in the driving thing?
Brad Keselowski. It seems to be. Yeah, he.
I'm a Pollock myself.
It's the Quaker State 400, and it's actually in Sparta, Kentucky, at the Kentucky Speedway. They've only raced 7 of these ever, and he's won 3 of them. So he'll be looking for number 4 this week.
Very nice.
Yeah. Also keep an eye on Kevin Harvick, Kyle Larson, Kyle Busch, and Martin Truex Jr. Also should be in the thick of it this weekend.
Those are like all the favorite.
Yeah. Let's bring in tonight's guest, for God's sake. He's been playing fantasy football. But yeah, I know, it's so terrible. We put him through this to put him on there and sort of christening him, I guess, for what he's about to endure. He's been playing fantasy football for nearly 30 years. He plays in more than a dozen annually. He has also not only missed an entire family reunion, but also a wedding, not his own, because he snuck away to get a fantasy draft in. He is a 5-time Football Guys Players Championship and Main Event League champ, has won more than $12,000 playing, and will be shooting for the overall title in the 2018 FFPC Pros vs. Joes competition coming up later this month with his co-manager, Eric Young. Please welcome to the High Stakes Airwaves, Kino Moss. Kino, thanks so much for coming on the air with us tonight.
Thanks for having me, Eric and Dave. How we doing, fellas?
We're doing good. We're doing fantastic. It's always good to get another.
Kino's such a cool name.
It's a very cool name.
Is that fake? Is that a stage celebrity name?
Yeah, it's a third name. It's everybody screws up my God-given, my government name, so we just go Kino's easy.
Really?
Kino is easy.
Is that true?
Yeah. No, I believe it is.
So do you want to tell us your God-given name? Or is
it's up to Kino. Kino can reveal that.
Questions list from the producer?
It's nothing wild. It's nothing wild. It's just pronounced weird, so people messed it up when I was growing up. It's Akin, A-K-I-N.
Okay,
cool.
There you go.
Yeah.
Very cool. So listen, we want to talk fantasy with you. You're obviously we're gonna pick your brain for some pros versus Joes knowledge. Pick your brain for some high stakes knowledge. Before we get to that, tell the listeners what you do for a living. And I believe you were in beautiful San Diego, California.
Weather's awesome.
Slumming it and sticking it out in beautiful Southern California. There. Yeah. So tell us what you do for a living out there, Kino.
It is definitely a tough life. I do real estate. I started as a broker when I was about 22. Now I just kind of invest. So just working on my tan, trying to learn how to surf, fellas, and dominate fantasy.
Oh, man. Like, in San Diego, too, it's like, real estate just keeps going up and up. I mean, everything's worth a ton of money out there. I love it. It's great. Now you just invest, right?
Yes.
Oh,
yes.
That's awesome.
Absolutely.
All right.
Kind of like
you find a good foreclosure condo.
Yeah, we do a couple REOs. We find those out here. I was just going to say it's similar to like investing in fantasy players, You got to find cheap and then let them appreciate it in the near future. Absolutely.
That's awesome. All right, so let's talk fantasy a little bit. Congrats on your co-manager, Eric Young, you're on the draft with pros versus Joes this year. So have you guys talked strategy at all, going up against all those pros?
A little bit. To be honest, this draft was kind of early, so my co-manager, he runs a pretty big business, and then he plays a lot of poker. So until the season about starts, it's usually on me. So we're gonna rock. I got a little bit of going against the pros. I usually will try to wait on quarterbacks because that's the usual trend with you guys. So I just really hit running backs, receivers, and then tight end premiums. Try to click one of those here and there.
So does he go out there for the World Series of Poker that whole month of, June mostly?
Yeah, he travels a little bit. He's in Commerce a lot. He lives in L.A., so he's out doing his thing.
Oh, right, yeah.
Yeah.
Poker's all over. Okay.
You got it, fella. Yeah.
We have right away Bourbon City Ballers, Kevin Williamson in the chat room tonight, firing away with the tough topics. We were going to get to this later on in the show, but we might as well bring it up with you, Kino, now because obviously the fantasy story that's dominated the headlines over the last 48 hours or so has been this LaShawn McCoy domestic abuse allegations, and for fantasy owners, strictly we're not going to get into the morality and everything like that. We just want to stick strictly to fantasy here. How do you treat McCoy in drafts right now? Because he was going at the end of the second round. We've seen him slip now to the end of the fourth, early fifth in some Football Guys drafts. How would you be treating McCoy if you, let's say, we don't know, we're not given any more information by the time you guys are drafting in it's only 18 days away now. So, July 29th is when you'll be drafting your Pros vs. Joes team. If no more information comes out, how do you treat McCoy in your drafts?
Well, I was off McCoy to begin with this year. I think that he's kind of running out of tread on those tires, if you will. The Buffalo line and even their offense, the quarterback is just going to be a big question mark. So this is only really pushing him further down on my board, to be honest. The guy I was really that's now kind of moving up is Chris Ivory. I think that, especially in a redraft, in a 1 year or a best ball, you slide him in, give you 10+ points. Until he breaks down, of course, by week 6 to 10. But until then, I really like Ivory. And, with McCoy, it's almost like a Zeke Elliott situation, except for the fact that Zeke has a lot more upside, to me personally, than does LaShawn McCoy this year. So I'm completely avoiding. He won't be on any of my draft boards, so I'll wait for somebody else to take him, to be honest.
Chris Ivory has gone all the way up to the 12th round of FFPC best ball drafts from an ADP of 20, basically, is where he was going beforehand. So Ivory's already shooting up draft boards. I think he's an interesting buy right now. The fact that you can get a guy who could conceivably be starting for his team in the double-digit rounds at running back, that is definitely rare. Let's talk about a guy who fit that scenario exactly to a T last year. Went the double-digit rounds, ended up starting for his team. Alvin Kamara and Kino, you got him in all your leagues last season, man. You had a successful 2017, obviously, having Kamara on so many squads. Tell us a little bit about why you liked him so much and if there's a 2018 version of Kamara out there.
So there is a version. Watch my draft, and you will know when I draft him. I'll let you know. But when it came to Kamara in particular, I'm a true believer in, the offensive coordinators really contributing more than the players per se. For instance, like Fitzgerald versus Marcus Colston back in 2010, if you will. For about 3 or 4 years, Colston was putting up 100 catches almost, and Fitzgerald wasn't, based on quarterback as well as obviously the offense they play in. So, now with this kind of a changing of the guard, I'm really, really. That's why I was really high on Kamara. I just thought he was going to be a PPR sleeper. I didn't think he was going to be as dominant as he was in his points per touches. But, I think he was on average 11th, 10th round, so we were taking him about in the 8th or 9th, and, we did pretty well. So this year, I like Dion Lewis. I think he's a really, really good value. I'm not a big Derrick Henry fan. I think he's kind of an upright runner. There's a new offensive coordinator in town, so I don't think it's going to be a DeMarco / Derrick Henry, those kind of roles. I think it's going to change a lot, and I really like Dion Lewis. In a 1 year redraft best ball, that would be, if you will, my Alvin Kamara without giving away a couple of my other guys.
That's pretty impressive. You gave that away, boss. You have to
just
the
listen,
Easter egg of Ready Player One.
That's all you get.
You cannot.
Go ahead.
That's it. No,
yep. At least we got that. That's the good part.
All right. But okay, I'm going to give you a question with a little bit more of a broad question, so you have to give us anything specific. You're a 5-figure winner in the FFPC Football Guys contest. So give us like a key to some of the successful fantasy seasons that you and your partner have had in your careers.
So honestly, I think me and my partner kind of have a yin and a yang. I'm kind of like the mad scientist, and he's kind of the analytical poker guy, if you will. He's very methodical. So, but one thing I always will fall on is if there are guys you like and there's guys you have a feeling on, especially when it comes to big money, go for it. Like last year, it was Alvin Kamara, it was Russell Wilson, and again, had I gone for Kareem Hunt, who I really, really like, but, really a rookie that high in the first, second round, because we were drafting in the Friday after the Thursday games in some of the my FFPCs. So, I wanted to, I just didn't really do it. So that would be my main thing. If there's a guy that you love and, you and your partner or you or just yourself and you really are you keep gravitating towards that player and you're playing for money, I would rather go down gunning with the guys that I have these feelings about, and it's kind of, I've honed it over 25 plus years, but, go for your guys, man, in fantasy. Have fun with it. Let it roll. Don't be a homer, though.
Well, you need to trademark your get your guys.
Yeah, get your guys, says Kino Moss, 5-time FPC and FFPC main event champ. Listen, if there's one, people, they ask me, Bulky, you interview all these high-stakes guys. What's the one thing that you always take away from that? Get your guys. That's what these guys always say. There's a certain amount of, let the draft come to you, but most of the time it's yeah, but still get your guys at the same time. Let the draft come to you. And then
It's funny though, because you hear a lot of people. It is funny that you hear that. You know, just try and pick off a lot of value. But if there's someone you want, go get them.
Yeah. Among your friends and competitors, among your friends and competitors, Kino, you have become known as the tight end whisperer. And
Leslie Walls before anybody else did.
Yeah, I'd like to.
Tony Gonzalez is a rookie.
Exactly.
Right.
I want to know how this came about, how you earned that moniker.
A little bit of that and a lot of SHIT talking. So it really started in like 2000. I'm a Niner and a Chiefs fan, so Gonzalez was my guy, and I drafted him like in almost every league, like earlier than it was just ridiculous because I just felt like, hey, he's going to be 75 plus catches, and a tight end back then was just really unheard of. So it started with him, and then I just was able to just find like good grooves with quarterbacks matching up with offensive coordinators, and then tight ends ever since. From like I remember just one year I was on Algie Crumpler when he was with Vic to Brent Selleck, Todd Heap was my guy, Jimmy Graham I drafted in like every dynasty league when he came out of Miami. So Kyle Rudolph, so yeah, he's been up and down. I wouldn't really say he's a beast, but we've been doing all right with tight ends the last 15 or so years. So I just keep trying to. I have a little formula.
So, and I'm not going to ask you. Far be it from me to ask you to divulge that formula on the air. But I would imagine, given that you and Eric will be, you especially will be drafting in this Pros vs. Joes contest in 2.5 weeks in a tight end premium format, we're going to see some of the. We should be paying attention to whatever tight ends you're selecting there because they might be in for Boffo 2018 seasons.
We'll see. But that's what I'm betting on, brother. Absolutely.
The tight end whisperer has spoken, Dave, and I'm making a mental and a physical note of watching.
And I'll just give you one. This is kind of a deep shot in the dark, but I really like, as long as Sam Bradford's healthy, which God knows 2 weeks, 4 weeks, maybe 12 on a good day, but I really like Ricky Seals-Jones. They got a good OC now, finally, who uses I like Arians, but he never used the tight end, so I really like that fit. As long as Bradford, that's really, he gets it out quick, and I think nobody really has him on their boards to 55 plus catches. I think he could do relatively easily. The only caveat to that is if and when Bradford goes down, I'm not sure what Rosen is going to do with his tight ends. But until then, I like RSJ a lot.
Well, at least a lot of the rookie quarterbacks look to their tight ends because it's a fairly easy pass to complete.
Sure.
Right down the middle.
Hashtag security blanket.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
Rosen's he's a genius.
Speaking
of positions.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Everyone tries to take the best player available in their draft. Do you tend to load up on certain positions early in drafts, or a certain position, I should say?
As of the last 4 or 5 years, I think tight end premium, I've really looked to find tight ends. It's kind of like tiers now as opposed to rankings. You could have the 24th overall, whatever, but if he only scores 2 points off of the number 2 overall, then it's really almost the same, right? So with tight ends, I found that I'm usually taking them, like you guys had mentioned, 1 to 2 rounds earlier, especially with tight end premium, and then factor in if you're doing it with savvy, people like yourselves, then I'm definitely going 2 to 3 rounds earlier. And I'm actually kind of rotating the pendulum back to running backs. Like if I can get, out of the top 24, if I get 2, God forbid 3, I'm really going to try to do that in the early rounds. After that, I feel like receivers, we can pick a couple off who are going to be pretty solid in the 4th, 5th rounds.
Kino Moss, a $12,000 high-stakes fantasy football winner and 5-time FPC and FFPC main event league champ, joins us on the high-stakes fantasy football hour tonight. You are going to be drafting Kino at the 7th spot in the Walkman League of the Pros vs. Joes on Sunday, July 29th, which people can hear right on the High Stakes Fantasy Football. We'll be broadcasting that. You're right in between Mike Visconti from Fantasy Sports Central and Alex Melio and Austin Lee from Football Guys, of course, the veterans of this event. I look at where you guys are going to be picking. Is there a specific player that you're hoping falls to you at 7? And I just wanted to get your thoughts, because we always like to hear, from people who say, I I like to be picking in the early part of the round this year. I like to be picking, I like to be on the ends. You guys will be right in the middle. Your thoughts on drafting in the middle and who you're targeting at 7?
Well, usually the middle sucks unless you have 2 girls on each side of you. So I'm not too happy about that. But
totally agree with that. I am 100%
amen.
on that.
Come on. So honestly, we'll probably go running back. Just off top. Sorry guys, I've had a long day. But yeah, I'm really looking running back. I feel like that top tier of guys, is really where I want to go if I can. And then if not, I mean, it'd really be Antonio Brown would be the only other guy. So I feel like at 7, I'm going to get obviously one of those just by, deductive reasoning. And that's really how I'm pretty confident that after the first running back, then I'll just kind of let it come to me as far as position after that. But I am looking running back in particular. Yeah. Sorry.
2016 FFPC main event champion David Hubbard has been drafting some football guys teams, and I don't think I don't think I'm revealing too much here. He says he loves the middle this year. The 6, 7, 8 spots. He says he's happy all day picking in the middle. He really likes, and he also said he likes the pick. You know what? The thing is with Hubbard, he says he drafts from anywhere, and he'll be like, yeah, I really like the middle this year. But the back end's looking pretty good. Oh yeah, but the first 3 picks, I love that spot too. So take it with a grain of salt. Yeah.
If you've done 80 football guys drafts already, you've gotten every spot. So you've convinced yourself that every spot is reasonably decent.
There's probably some confirmation bias on that.
Right.
Yes, exactly.
So Kino, actually, I've been, people tend to post a lot of their drafts on Twitter. It's like occasionally you look at them and sometimes they're touting them, sometimes they're asking, what do you think? And a lot of people that I respect actually been taking Adam Thielen. So he's been going around the 309 in best ball leagues. What do you think of him? Do you think he's a reach there, or do you think that's a good pick?
So best ball, I'm okay with it. I don't love it, but I mean between him and Diggs, it's really hard to decipher week to week. I will say though that what's his name? Case Keenum? Not Case Keenum. What's his name? He just signed in Minnesota though. Kirky.
Captain Kirk.
Yeah. So Captain Kirk is out there, and I feel like his guy was kind of Jamison Crowder, kind of the inside runner. So I like Thielen fits that role. Cousins doesn't really throw outside too often or really deep. It seems like Crowder was kind of his security blanket other than Big Reed at tight end. So I think that Thielen fits that role. But again, in the best ball, I'm okay with it. I don't love it, but you're going to roll them both out. You're going to be happy with what they get because Cousins does. I mean, he produces numbers. I don't know about winning when you need, but fantasy. That's all I care about. I just want stats, baby.
It's all about the stats. Just ask Bob Sangerman from the Kentucky Fantasy Football State Championship. Loves that. Casey in Edgeville, Pennsylvania leads off our emails this week, Kino. And the first one for you, he writes, "What's up, Kino? Are you buying the Jerick McKinnon in the 2nd round hype, or do you think he's just too expensive at that spot? Good luck at Pros versus Joes." That's Casey in Eagleville, Pennsylvania.
You don't want to talk about McKinnon.
Well, we don't have to, but I think you are saying it all with your reaction. He's going at the 210 in best balls right now. Your thoughts on McKinnon at that spot?
Talk to me, Casey. Well, yeah, I'm a Niners fan, so I'm trying to not drink the juice too much, but I love the fit, man. I mean, you look at Devontae Freeman, I think they fit similar roles. McKinnon gets nicked up a lot, but until then, he's getting at least 4 catches out of the backfield in a PPR, 4 for 40, at least 80 rushing yards, no touchdowns. We're looking at a 12+. So I like that. I like that a lot. And that's with really not a lot of upside, right? So I like McKinnon. I'm just trying not to go in too hard being a Niner fan. But, yeah, he's definitely on my target list.
Yeah, he could have a massive fantasy season.
Absolutely, and if you can pair him, like if I'm able to get a top tier number 7 running back and pair McKinnon with him, that's pretty juicy right there. Daddy likey.
Yes, daddy likey indeed. Let's go to Brian in Pine Bluff, Arkansas. He writes, "Hi, Kino.
No caller?
Can we? No.
Oh, sorry.
Well, it'd be great if we did. But can we count on Amari Cooper bouncing?" That is true. We get a lot of emails and texts, I will say, on this show.
A lot of Bitmoji stuff, too.
Not too many Bitmojis. No, we don't get a whole lot of Bitmojis. And Bitmojis are tough to read on the air. So,
right.
Yeah. Anyway, Brian, Pine Bluff, Arkansas. Hi, Kino. Can we count on Amari Cooper bouncing back, or is he simply fantasy fool's gold again this season, even with Gruden captaining the ship? Thanks for the email, Brian.
Even with Gruden?
Well, I mean...
The albatross from 20 years ago?
Well, obviously, the OCs and the head coaches there... Exactly, yeah. The OCs and head coaches there the last couple of years have not been able to unlock Amari Cooper.
Anyway,
yeah, so you look at Cooper right now in best ball league. This guy was a second-round pick in FFPC drafts last year. He slipped to the 404 now this year. So you look at Cooper, are you buying in a bounce back, or are you staying away?
I think it really determines its market value, right? Like, and you also have to realize, or you don't have to realize, but I tried to be realistic, right? Everybody touted Amari Cooper as, and I did as well, as like the next guy, right? He runs great routes, great hands. He's the man. Unfortunately, it's kind of not everybody kind of tops out at their max potential, and I think that he's kind of going through it. It's really only his third year though, so. When you say bounce back, I just say, what are your expectations? Are you expecting 100 catches like the top tier guys? Or are you going to be more reasonable like 70 plus? And even on his first 2 years, he still, I believe, had 80 plus, right, each year, first and second year. Then last year was kind of weird and funky. But, within reason, fourth round, as long as I'm not expecting him to be my number one, maybe preferably fifth, late fifth, something like that, I would totally be okay with. But I think that a lot of people are too hard on him because they drafted him as their number one, and he's, expecting him to be that guy, and he's just a better at a number two. Low end.
I like that. That was a very reasoned explanation.
Yeah, very well reasoned indeed. He has not gotten 80 catches his first 2 years, although he was very close. 72 catches in 2015. That's all right. You were almost spot on.
Rookie, though, 72 it's an incredible number.
He went, 72 catches for over 1,000 yards as a rookie. That's fantastic. Then he went up to 83 catches for 1,100 yards last year. Only 48 for 680 in 2017. But he did set a career high in touchdowns last year with 7. So what could have been, Dave?
Julio Jones looks at his touchdown numbers and is jealous.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, fantastic analysis there, my friend.
I kept 130 passes for 3 touchdowns every year.
Yeah.
And this week's 15 and 16.
And
who am I?
Yeah,
Julio Jones.
No, and those 3 touchdowns are all going to come in the same quarter.
Yeah,
one game.
Oh my God!
Exactly.
First quarter,
enjoy it while they last, because that's it.
Don't blink.
All right.
Don't blink.
All right, Kino. So this is one of our favorite questions. What player will you be staying away from in the first couple of rounds this year, and what player do you think you'll be targeting in the mid to late rounds of the season?
Ooh, I'm avoiding Tyreek and Kelsey. I'm a Chiefs fan too. I just feel like with Mahomes as a rookie, there's too much volatility for a second-round tight end and or a fourth-round receiver. I'd much rather go all day Doug Baldwin, all day. I mean, you throw names out, I can say yes or no, but those two in particular I think are highly overvalued, knowing that Alex Smith is really, really efficient, and he was able to really pick those two guys out almost every week consistently, where you now have Mahomes. He's playing the Chargers twice. I love their defense. He's playing, the Raiders are boo-boo, but, I just feel like Mahomes isn't going to be just this dominant guy, even though that one game, he did really well. Like, the NFL is really good at, once they get film on you, they take away what you do well, and then it's how well do you do B, C, and D. So I like Mahomes, but as far as putting all my fantasy eggs in that particular basket, drafting those two guys that early when there are reasonable options or alternatives elsewhere, I would pass on those two guys personally, and it hurts me to say that.
Yeah, so that's interesting. So it's really the fact that Mahomes has such a small body of work. I mean, he's a talented player. The team likes him. They put all their faith in him. But, I mean, what proof do we have as fantasy owners that Mahomes is going to be productive?
Yeah, very little.
I mean, right, like even Andrew Luck, his first 2 years, Peyton Manning, or maybe their first year for sure, was really kind of tough. And I personally think that Luck was way more NFL ready, doesn't have the arm and the arm talent or whatever that Mahomes has, but as far as mentally, and I think that makes such a big difference compared to just arm talent. We've seen that, year after year. I'm just waiting to see before I'm going to invest, especially if big money leagues, on those two guys.
Kino, before I want to get a sleeper that you're targeting in the mid to late rounds, but before we do, I want to just touch on this real quick since you brought up two Chiefs in Hill and Kelsey. Kelsey is going in the mid-second round of FFPC best balls. Tyreek Hill, the mid-third round. Sammy Watkins not going until the early 7th round. Is he a guy that you would look at there given his value?
1,000,000%. I mean, like when you take a step back, what's the difference in regards to NFL ability between Tyreek and Watkins? Not numbers, but I mean they're I won't say the same player because Tyreek is electric, but right, very fast, over the top, hit him short, let him run, hit him, let him extend the defense, hit him deep, all that kind of stuff. So I feel like week to week they can legitimately almost be the same player or the same role. And Andy Reid said it before. He kind of scripts certain plays for players. If they hit, it hits, and then after that, he doesn't have guys he's just going to feed the ball to. It kind of the game dictates what he does, other than Kareem Hunt. So.
Besides Watkins, we know you like Watkins with the 7th. Is there a player or players that you could share with us that are going perhaps around the same range or even later that you would be interested in acquiring in your leagues this year?
Dion Lewis. There you go.
Dion Lewis. I'm in it. I'm in it. I like it. I like it a lot.
There's definitely a lot more, but just for my money's sake, we'll keep it there, Dion.
We have, and Kino, we listed. That's fine. You don't need to share everything tonight. We will be able to broadcast your pros versus Joe's draft. We will see who you've been targeting then, and we will know who you like, and we will definitely.
Cards will be on the table.
Your cards will be on the table, but that's okay because you've won $12,000, more than $12,000. 5 FPCs, FFPC main event league titles to your name. So clearly, even when people know what you're doing, you're still going to come out on top. Thank you so much for joining the show tonight. I really appreciate it. Feel free to give us a call back in when you're drafting on the 29th. We'd love to, hear more from you, how your draft is going, and if you want to make a pick on the air, we always appreciate that.
Talk crap about the pros because they all suck.
Yes, exactly.
The pros are terrible.
Yes. By the way,
By
thank
large,
you for bringing that up, gentlemen. I would like you to know that last year, in this is the second year we've done the pros versus Joes. We came in 3rd. We lost Odell Beckham for the year and Jordy, and we came in 3rd by like 12 points to both experts. Well, one guy scored 1,700, but I believe we killed Evan Silva, killed Scott Fish. Although they're shots fired, but I both bow down to them. They're highly knowledgeable. They've probably forgot more than I'll ever know in regards to football. But we're out here getting it, boys. We're out here doing it. Track record.
Yeah.
The tight end whisperer, the Silva Slayer, Kino Moss, joining the High Stakes Fantasy Football Award tonight. That is fantastic stuff. I'm not. Yeah, we will listen.
Heather and I are here. We're buddies.
But listen, man, congrats on all your success thus far. Good luck in all your leagues this coming season, and thanks for hanging out with us tonight. We really appreciate it, Kino.
I appreciate the time, guys. Take care.
All right, thanks.
Kino Moss, ladies and gentlemen, 5-time Football Guys and FFPC main event league champ, won more than $12,000, and finished higher in his league than Evan Silva and Pros vs. Joe's last year. So great stuff. I should bring up the standings just to see how it ended up. But one other thing, when we were talking about Adam Thielen, I was listening to the Kentucky Fantasy Football State Championship podcast this week. And, of course, our friends.
That's nice to call a shout-out for those guys.
Yeah, give them a shout-out. Farrell Elliott, Travis Cox, Rob Fetcher, and then their guest this week was Brandon Hakey. Hakey
is the horse whisperer, by the way.
Oh, yeah, big time. Hakey and Cox, both, FYI, very successful players, love Stephon Diggs this year and think that Diggs should actually be going ahead of Thielen in drafts.
All right.
So, two smart guys, two not only successful Kentucky players, two very successful FFPC players as well.
Yeah, they're good.
So,
Cox is getting married out here.
This Saturday.
Oh, yeah, they're all set.
Yep, Travis Cox gets married this Saturday. So, congratulations to him and his fiancée, wife-to-be, Taylor. So, yes. I don't know what that's supposed to be.
I don't either. Well, Taylor, that's, it could be either, guy or girl.
Well, his buddy Taylor Casey, who we've seen in Kentucky before. It's not him. Oh. But, yes, congratulations to Travis.
I'm just trying to have fun, Wolf. Yeah, it's that time of the show.
It is that time of the show. I want to thank Draft Sharks, Football Guys, Roto-World, and Rob for tonight's rundown. Let's get to it. And we touched on this earlier with Kino. LaShawn McCoy has been accused of domestic violence, accused of beating his girlfriend. The post on Instagram, which has since been deleted, also claimed that LaShawn McCoy has used steroids, beaten his son and his dog. no way of knowing the, how.
Supposedly he was working out 4 hours after the incident.
Right, and there's talk about that
someone else
he organized this
yeah.
or this was, of his doing. That's speculation, and we're certainly not starting that rumor on this show. We'll start a lot of rumors on this show.
The rumor's out there. I think it's likely, by the way.
I just don't want to make it seem like we're perpetuating this. Like this is what we're just saying. This is what people are talking about. We'll leave it at that. The Bills and the NFL looking into the situation, and obviously after the whole Ray Rice thing for a few years ago, this is
who beats up their dog?
Yeah,
That's the problem.
this is huge.
Yeah, it is actually.
So, from a dynasty, we'll get into the dynasty aspect of this. For redraft, I told you yesterday when this came out, I can't conceivably take LaShawn McCoy in a single-digit round. Now, he has gone at the end of the 4th, early 5th. There's plenty of drafters out there from the chats I have observed in the Football Guys draft rooms. There's plenty of guys out there that believe he's fine. Nothing's going to come of it. Even if something comes of it, it won't happen this season, because of the long, drawn-out process of suspensions in the past. You look at McCoy.
I don't think it's good. Go ahead.
You look at McCoy right now.
This is the 1-minute preview of the question.
His redraft value. I'm just trying to set you up for it. I am not. It's fine if he goes in the 4th and 5th because I'm not taking him there.
Yeah, I would. Honestly, he's close to off my board at this point. Very close.
Double-digit round. I mean.
Yeah, definitely sure. But he's not going to fall that far. But
right, and that's why it doesn't matter.
There's too much. There's way too much smoke, and the NFL doesn't care if you get. At this point, you're seeing these suspensions. They do not care if you actually get arrested necessarily.
Right.
If their investigators find out if it's one of Shady's friends gets arrested or whatever,
yeah,
he's getting suspended. They're not waiting. They're not waiting for the judge and jury. They're just going to be like, all right, well, you did it, because obviously any idiot could figure out that you did this. So he's getting 6 games. He might get the whole season. His career could be over for all we know.
But then if he appeals.
Yeah, and then who do they appeal to? It's like,
well, same guy who's giving him the suspension. Yeah.
I mean, the whole process is hilarious.
Yeah, it is. It's not good. So obviously, stay away from Shady McCoy. That's our official stance. Even in the 4th and 5th round, stay away from LaShawn McCoy. What's the upside too? He's missing 3 of his starting offensive linemen from last year. He could have a rookie quarterback taking over at some point this season. He for sure will have a new quarterback, and his receiving options around him and tight end. Tight end is okay, I guess. But he's certainly not a big offensive threat. But the receivers, everybody should be keying on McCoy, and this offensive line is nowhere near as good as it used to be in 2017.
Well, we don't know. Okay, first of all, let's just go the other direction. We don't know for sure how bad the offensive line is going to be.
They lost 3 starters, and
maybe the team opted not to re-sign them because they suck.
Well, one guy retired because of a medical thing. Then they traded one of them to Cincinnati for a second-round pick because Cincinnati wanted, and that was a big upgrade on the Cincinnati line. And I can't. The third guy is escaping me right now. Was that Incognito and he retired? I think is what it was. I know that the center I can't think of. His name was Eric. It's escaping me right now.
Mangini?
No, definitely not Eric Mangini. But he's the one who retired because of a medical condition, and then Incognito retired. I thought just to get his release from the Bills, and so he hung him up, and then they traded Cordy Glenn. So that's 3/5 of the offensive line.
Okay, that's fine. Great. And the team's still. Did you think the team sucked last year pretty much?
No.
They were good?
They made the playoffs.
Yeah, you know what? Okay, maybe that's a good point. I mean, so you think they're going to be measurably worse this year? That's fine.
Yes.
He was the RB number 7 last year.
He had a great season last year.
He always has a great season. Let's not just make it seem like this is a one-off. He's one of the elite best running backs in the NFL. If he was playing,
Frank Gore just called him the best running back.
Yeah, if he was playing on let's see, a team that uses one running. If he was playing on let's say the Rams, he'd be getting drafted in the 1st round and didn't have this stuff going on. So obviously, he has a ton of red flags. But I mean, to take the totally opposite argument, if he doesn't get suspended, or even if it's a 3-game suspension, he could be a huge value once you're falling into the 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th round.
He could be, and I'm fine with. I've made my peace with not having him.
Yeah, I mean, it's not totally cut and dry. But I mean, once you get past like the 7th, 8th, 9th, and you keep on going, it's like, where are we at?
Yeah, I know what you mean. I know exactly what you mean. And as of right now, we won't have to make that decision, but more news could come out.
More news will assuredly come out probably pretty soon.
We'll keep you posted right here at the High Stakes Fantasy Football Hour.
Yes, the weekly show that you should really check into for your news.
That does not take time off. Just putting that out there, too. TitansInsider.com's Terry McCormick. The show doesn't, is my point.
Yeah, you're the best.
It's not a dig on you.
but at least we're going on Wednesday this week.
Derrick Henry could lead the team in rushing attempts and rushing yards, says McCormick, but he says it isn't out of the question that Dion Lewis finishes with more total yards. And obviously,
that's such a shitty take.
When Dion Lewis has
It's a terrible take.
Okay, well, let's assess this for fantasy and read between the lines a little bit. Dion Lewis, when he's been healthy, he's been awesome. There's no question about
pretty
that.
much saying nothing is the point.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Thank you. Derrick Henry is going as the 17th running back off the board, and Dion Lewis, now he's tightened this up quite a bit. I can tell you right now that you remember when before the Titans signed Dion Lewis, Derrick Henry was like a solid third-round pick, like sometimes even second round.
Yeah.
He has slipped since the signing. Now he is going in the 5th round on ADP. He was in the 4th round for a long time. He's going at the 501 right now, Dave. And Dion Lewis creeping all the way up to the 509. It's not out of the question that Lewis is going to be leapfrogging Henry by the time we get to Vegas in the main event draft. I think, and Kino Moss talked about this earlier, I like Lewis better than Henry right now.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest with you, taking Lewis over Henry is not really a very difficult decision because Lewis is a much safer pick. He has a higher floor. He's going to catch passes, right? He's probably less likely to get injured because of the fact that he's not going to be pounding it up the middle on short yardage.
I'm not going to agree with you.
Well, I know. Okay, I get it. But I mean, Henry's never. I don't know. He's a huge guy, so he could get injured anytime. So
yeah.
I don't know.
You think about the new offense with Matt LaFleur being the OC. Don't you think that it'll be more wide open with well, you don't like Corey Davis, but Mariota, Taywan Taylor, Corey Davis, Rashard Matthews, Delaney Walker, Dion Lewis. I just feel like Dion Lewis is the better fit for that offense that they want to bring in this year rather than the bruising Derrick Henry.
Well, keep in mind, Derrick Henry was selected by the prior coaching staff management, and now they picked up Dion Lewis and signed him to a pretty big contract by the current people. So the writing's kind of on the wall there. I think Lewis is the pick to make.
Robbie Anderson.
It's definitely, Derrick Henry could lead the team in rushing attempts, but it isn't out of the question that Dion Lewis.
I want to point this out that there are a lot.
Why do you say that I think it's going to happen?
There are a lot of players and coaches on vacation right now, and beat writers still have to work.
Yes, the paper has to be put out. The Sears ads in the Cub Foods circular or whatever your local.
I don't know
if
there's any hard-hitting fantasy football analysis in the Cub Foods flyer next to the sale on Vidalia onions, but you could have something there. Let's get into Robbie Anderson. Rich Cimini of ESPNNewYork.com says Anderson could actually develop into a true number one receiver this year because he brings a, quote, unique dimension to the offense. Dave, there's not a lot of competition for being the number one receiver with the Jets again this year. Quincy Enunwa coming off that neck injury. They brought in Terrell Pryor. God knows what they're going to get with him. Robbie Anderson actually had a very productive 2017 season. And as far as FFPC drafters go right now, they are not taking him in best ball leagues until the double-digit rounds, actually right after the 9th round at the 10:02. This, to me, screams as a great value, regardless if it's Josh McCown, regardless if it's Sam Darnold. They're going to have to throw at some point. And Anderson, as long as he can keep his nose clean, represents a lot of targets in that offense.
Well, okay, I just looked this up because I wasn't exactly sure what happened with his arrest and issues.
His second arrest.
Second arrest.
Yeah.
So his attorney must be quite good. I wish I had his attorney. He pled no contest to reckless driving, 6 months probation. Adjudication was withheld, meaning Anderson was not convicted of a crime. Originally stemmed from a January arrest where he was caught doing 105 and a 45. By the way, I could get to that. I could get to that speeding. Some of the 45s in our neighborhood. But anyway, he faced a number of charges, including threatening the arresting officer's wife, which was dropped.
Yeah, that's a no-no.
Cleared legally, but he still could face discipline from the aforementioned NFL office. So, and Anderson doesn't think he's going to get suspended. So keep in mind, we're just talking about the shady stuff. Yeah. It all kind of went away, but I think the shady stuff's going to stay. Anyway, back to Anderson. I think he actually is a value. I think that's a good analysis.
I mean, even if he gets suspended, it's a 10th round pick.
Yeah, again, at the 10th round, who cares? Yeah. 2 4 games, whatever.
Yeah. Whatever. Especially in a best ball at that point, I'm all over it.
I mean, the speeding thing shows he's an aggressive, high testosterone guy.
Not always. I know we value that, but it
may not be the best for decision making.
Yeah. Larry Fitzgerald can apparently be counted on to catch more than 100 passes for over 1,000 yards this season, according to Josh Weinfuss of ESPN.com. Sam Bradford and Josh Rosen will be the guys throwing to him this year. And they both actually excel with their accuracy on the short and intermediate passes, which Fitzgerald has run to perfection over the last few years. Well, more than a few years. Cardinals will have David Johnson besides Larry Fitzgerald, and then a whole lot of question marks after that. Dave, it's a broken record for the last 4 years on this show. I feel like people have been writing off Larry Fitzgerald.
And we keep on drafting him.
He continues to be a fourth-round pick, going at the 403.
That's so nice.
Now.
It's so free.
Let's play a Would You Rather real quick with Larry Fitzgerald. I think this will be a fun exercise.
Would you rather get a massage from a man or surgery from a female doctor?
Number 5.
Would you have sex with Cleveland if it meant you could have sex with Angelina Jolie?
Who would you rather do? What would you guys rather be? Who would you rather start a small business with?
Who would you rather have sex with?
Do you want breakfast, or would you rather chew on your own ass as usual?
What?
All right, so you have Larry Fitzgerald going at the 403. I am only going to list players that FFPC drafters are drafting in front of him. Dave, would you rather have Larry Fitzgerald or T.Y. Hilton?
Fitz.
I agree. Larry Fitzgerald or Adam Thielen?
Fitz.
I agree. Larry Fitzgerald or Tyreek Hill?
Oh, man, you know, to be honest with you, I would take Fitz.
You're about to lie.
No, I'm going to take Fitz. Yeah, it's funny when people say that.
Right. I think I'd rather have Hill.
I'll take Fitz. Hill's too up and down. Plus he has a new quarterback. Yeah. Well, that's what Fitz doesn't. But,
I still like the ceiling with Hill a little bit better. Fitzgerald or Doug Baldwin?
I'm going to take Fitz over Baldwin.
I would take Baldwin at that point. And last, I think.
Go ahead.
This is a throwaway.
I'm going to take AJ Green.
No. This is a throwaway. Larry Fitzgerald or Mike Evans? I think this is interesting with the Winston stuff.
You know what? If I was given my choice, I would take Fitz. Now, granted, I could probably get Evans and Fitz.
You probably could.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like
Evans, by the way, going in
304, 305.
Yeah, best ball drafts right now. Mike Evans 303.
Yes, I mean, like if I was looking at Fitz and I was in the late third round, I probably would take Evans and hope Fitz came back to me or something like that.
Which he probably wouldn't, but it's entirely possible.
Yeah, if it's a 303, I'm not going to take Fitz at the 303.
You could take Evans at the 210 and then Fitz at the 303.
Oh man, that's reachy. Then I'm taking McCaffrey probably somewhere up in there.
Right. Yeah. So you would take Fitz over Evans?
I'm just saying I think Fitz will produce more fantasy points than Evans, and I put $5 on it right now.
All right. So I have Mike Evans outscoring Larry Fitzgerald this year. I have 5 on it.
I have 5 on Fitz. That's funny. Shut up with your drops and your hand motions.
That's what makes the show enjoyable. No, whatever. Come on. All right. So I have
Fitz over Evans.
Yeah, more fantasy points. Okay, good.
That's crazy. I'm crazy about.
I agree. It is crazy for one of us.
That's true. How many did Evans do against Fitz last year? Probably lost by like 80 points.
Yeah, that was last year. I wouldn't have made the bet last year. Ricky Seals
Jones. You would have. I guarantee you would have made that bet last year, you liar.
Yeah, well, I guess we'll never know.
I would have made the same bet.
We're in the Matrix.
I was thinking Evans too.
We're in the Matrix now, Dave. Yeah. Ricky Seals Jones, Larry Fitzgerald's teammate and a guy that Kino Moss was looking at, was the guy who was named by Mike Jurecki of the Cardinals official website as the offense's breakout player this year. The quote from Jurecki, his target should be a lot higher this year with an expanded role. Seals Jones, 28 targets as rookie last year, but he did average nearly 17 yards per catch and did get in the end zone 3 times. He is a 6'5", 243-pound tight end. Was actually a 5-star wide receiver recruit for the Aggies at Texas A&M. And behind Larry Fitzgerald and David Johnson, I already mentioned it. There's not a whole lot else there. Seals Jones is a potential breakout this year, Dave, and you can get him cheap right now in FFPC drafts. 1301 is where he's going right now, and in a tight end premium format, that is a great way to spend a 13th round or even a 12th or 11th round pick.
I totally agree. Actually, especially when you put this little paragraph together, this, unlike the paragraph about Derrick Henry, could do something better than Deion Lewis or do worse. I actually like this. This is actually really good analysis.
Well, that's all shout out to Draft Sharks.
Yeah, it is. I like Ricky Seals Jones. That's great. A 5-star recruit like that. He was a wide receiver, and now he's playing tight end. Why not? Second year, and I think when people look at last year and they don't really realize that it's a new OC and new offense, and I think that's what really makes a difference. Is like Kino said, they just never used to throw the tight ends there. I never used to draft Arizona tight ends ever just for that reason.
You have Steve Wilkes is the new head coach there, who's a defensive-minded guy, but the offensive coordinator there, Mike McCoy, whose offenses have thrown to the tight end, obviously, in the past.
Of course, when you have Gates, it helps.
Yes. Yeah, he wasn't really working wonders with Virgil Green and Jake Butt. Well, of course, Jake Butt didn't really play for Denver last year, but with the tight end draft in Denver, it wasn't that great.
Jones is talented.
Yeah, he definitely is. Let's move on and get into some emails here. We got some fun emails.
If you've got a question for Eric Dave or tonight's guest, send them a tweet at HSFF Hour on Twitter. Email the show at highstakesfantasyfootball@gmail.com. Post it in the chat room during the broadcast. Hashtag your tweet with HSFF or just smack Eric in the head. That's highstakesfantasyfootball@gmail.com or at HSFF Hour on Twitter.
I didn't talk during the except for this part. David drop.
You love to talk during him. Bourbon City Ballers, Kevin Williamson in the chat room again. A few questions tonight. He wants to know, can the HSFF tell me where my Scott Fishbowl draft is going so slow? Just started the 8th round. Well, mine did too. It is going a little slow. And he also says he can't wait to hear the Pros vs. Joe's drafts. His last question, will the 7 p.m. football guys fill tomorrow night? Thursday night, 7 p.m.?
Oh, yeah, 100%.
I would not say.
9 spots left.
I would. Oh, really? Yeah, then it's pretty. It's not 100%.
98%.
Yeah, 98, 99. I'm with that for sure. So good luck in your draft tomorrow, Kevin. We're going to lead things off tonight, Dave, with a blind resume from
I forgot about you.
Frank in Louisville, Kentucky. Here's the way I'm going to do it. I'm not going to read the whole thing. I'm just going to reveal parts of it, and I'll see how many parts of information it takes you to guess this.
So I can just throw guesses out whenever?
Sure. Well, I'll tell you what, I'll look at you because I want to get the full point out, and then you can guess.
Sure enough.
I have 29 touchdowns over the last 3 years, which is behind only Antonio Brown's 31.
Now, are you looking at me?
Yeah, you can. Any guesses? 29 touchdown catches, excuse me.
Oh, okay.
Second most behind Antonio Brown over the last 3 years.
No, keep going.
Okay. While I had 15 touchdowns from inside the 20 in 2015 and 2016 combined, I only had 3 last year thanks to my Pro Bowl teammate snagging 10 touchdown catches. However, he is no longer on my team, and I will go back to catching passes from my Pro Bowl quarterback.
Oh, okay. So Pro Bowl quarterback.
Had a Pro Bowl teammate that caught 10 touchdowns last year. No longer.
Devontae Adams.
Is incorrect. Here's the last hint. Yet I am barely being drafted in the top 10 wideouts in the FFPC in the mid-3rd round. Who am I? He's the number 10 wideout drafted. He's not being selected for the mid-3rd round. I think this is a little misleading by Frank. He is back to catching passes from his Pro Bowl quarterback, but his Pro Bowl quarterback still threw him passes last year, too. He was healthy all year.
Yeah, that's fine.
The guy we brought up, we talked about briefly in the Would You Rather segment earlier.
So he had 3 touchdowns last year?
He had 3 touchdowns inside, it might have been 3 touchdowns total. I'm going to look this up.
His teammate had 10 touchdowns, but his teammate's gone.
That is correct.
Oh, man.
Yeah, it's like, why aren't people drafting this guy more? No, this is misleading. He had 8 touchdowns last year, but only 3 inside the 20.
Okay.
Which is where he was so successful in 2015 and 2016. He didn't have a bad season last year. I mean, he was good. He got touchdowns.
I'm lost. I have no idea.
He is Doug Baldwin.
Who caught 10 touchdowns?
Jimmy Graham. See, it's caught you up there at the tight end. So, Doug Baldwin, mid-3rd round. We've talked about him on the show over the last couple months. I like him as a 3rd round pick in football guys drafts, in 20-round managed leagues, I think that is a good way to spend a third-round pick. Even if you go running back in your first 2 rounds to get Doug Baldwin as your number 1 receiver in the third, I think he's in for a massive season this year.
What about the whole thing about how Seattle's going to suck and their offense sucks? They probably lost all this offense.
And they've lost all this defense.
But they're playing all these great defenses, though, in their division now.
Okay, I mean, I'm going to need an example here. I guess the Rams.
49ers, the Rams.
And the 49ers, is their defense that great?
Well, they're supposed to be a playoff team.
Yeah, but that's because of
just because of Garoppolo.
Jimmy Dreamboat Garoppolo.
They have a good-looking quarterback with good bushy eyebrows. No, that's the reason. He's got a nice tan. Is that why?
I don't want to hear you, of all people, saying because it's a bad-looking quarterback or because he's a good-looking quarterback, he's going to be good. You bring up the look analysis.
Hey, looks matter.
Yeah, exactly. So don't throw Garoppolo under the bus because he's an Adonis. Honestly, that's just because
Garoppolo is handsome with big eyebrows, that doesn't necessarily mean that the Niners aren't going to have a good defense.
All right, fine. That said, Seattle's defense is not what it used to be. Richard Sherman is gone.
But
Cam Chancellor.
Isn't there the worst offensive line in football?
That's fine, Dave. How are they going to move the football, especially if they're down?
Russell Wilson will be running around all the time. He's not going to
throw into Doug Baldwin.
No, he won't be able to throw it. He's always going to be running it because their offensive line is so bad.
What's their? I bet their over/under for total wins this season is
7. Probably.
I was going to say it's probably like 8.5. Like it's not good.
I can guarantee it's below that.
Okay, well that's just to my point even further that Seattle will be down more than they have been in years, and I think Baldwin bounces back. And
but if they're never going to over the 50-yard line, how are they going to score touchdowns?
You can still move the ball up to the 50-yard line. You don't like Tyler Lockett, do you?
Not particularly.
You don't like Jerron Brown. I know that. Who is catching passes? Brandon Marshall? For God's sake, the corpse of Brandon Marshall? No one's out there. It is going to be the Doug Baldwin show in the 3rd round. But by the way, Virgin City Ballers got tripped up on the tight end Jimmy Graham aspect of this too. He thought it was Amari Cooper.
Nice. Hey, Bourbon, we're in the same boat, buddy.
Yeah,
that's good.
Same boat with Bourbon.
All right,
the
over-under is 8, and it's minus 135 to the under. So people are slightly favoring the under, but it is 8. That's not that bad.
Moving on, Ed in Greenville, South Carolina. I drafted Saquon Barkley in an FFPC best ball today. Anyone I should be looking at to handcuff him with? Thanks for the email. Ed in Greenville, South Carolina.
First of all, you drafted Barkley, so you've already handcuffed your team.
So that's
It's a terrible pick.
It is not a terrible pick. It is an excellent pick.
You know why I'm saying that? Because Balky took Barkley.
And Scott
Fishbowl, and he calls himself Saquon Balky.
I don't call myself that. I changed my Twitter name just because I thought that'd be cool. I think Barkley's in for a boffo season. Now, handcuff. Wayne Gallman, Jonathan Stewart, you interested in either of those guys?
No, Stewart's just, everyone says that everyone's saying he's awful.
Yeah, he's looked really bad. $3.25 million guaranteed. The Giants gave him.
Nice. His agent's a good negotiator as well.
I would totally agree with that. Jonathan Stewart going in the 24th round of best balls right now. I guess you could look at him there. Wayne Gallman's going later in the 26th. That's the guy I would look at if you get Barkley. Get him in the 23rd, 24th round, whatever, before his ADP. Whatever. Somebody's got to carry the ball if Barkley does go down. So, and you're talking about one of the last few picks of your draft, I'm fine with it.
Barkley, there's no chance he gets hurt.
You are the absolute worst. Just the absolute worst.
You know what? I actually think Barkley's going to have a fine season.
Brian in Portland, Oregon.
Record that and play it back at some point.
I'm sure we'll get Rob on that. Brian in Portland, Oregon. Hey, Eric and Dave, which Bears running back do you think is the better value at his draft spot right now? Thanks, guys. Thank you, Brian, for the email. Brian in Portland, Oregon. Okay, so let's talk about, I'm assuming it's Jordan Howard and Tariq Cohen he's referring to.
Yeah. Howard just said, he came out today and said he's going to be catching passes.
I don't take the player's word for anything.
He said he's working on it.
Yeah, great. Dave, I'm working on becoming the next president of the United States. Book that. Jordan Howard.
You're not the only one.
305 is where he is going in drafts right now. Tariq Cohen is going at the 608. For my money, and the fact that I've already drafted Tariq Cohen in a draft this year, I like Cohen in the 6th more than Jordan Howard in the 3rd. I know he's working on his pass catching, and he's going to be more involved in that aspect of the Bears offense led by Matt Nagy this year. I still like Tariq Cohen at the end of the 6th round better than Howard in the middle of the 3rd.
Yeah, I do as well. I mean, the team itself has been saying how they want to get Cohen super involved. I think he's a playmaker, so why not go with Cohen? Although, if you're in a league where you have Tavon Austin as a running back, I mean, where's Austin going by comparison to Cohen? He's like the same type of player, and he goes like the 12th, 13th round, right?
18th right now
18th.
in FFPC best ball. Highest he's gone.
By the way, FFPC does reserve the right to move back to wide receiver.
Great, I'm glad we're opening up that can.
I'm just saying we probably won't though.
The earliest he's gone has been the 14th round, Tavon Austin. So.
I mean, seriously, that's pretty cheap. I guess I'm just saying, if you take Cohen and you're making that argument, you might as well grab Austin the 15th for free.
According to the ADP that you can get it at fantasymojo.com, Frank Gore and Darren Sproles are the guys that are directly in front of and directly behind Tavon Austin in drafts right now. What a motley crew that is. Gore, Austin, and Sproles. So that is where you're looking at drafting Austin there. So you like Cohen as well, better than Howard at the third? Okay. Dear Fred and Maurice, this is from Jim in Troy, Michigan. This is going to give it away once I read the email. With one of the Jags beat writers reporting that Yeldon is their best pass-catching and pass-blocking back, are you more likely to shy away from Leonard Fournette in the first couple rounds? That's Jim in Troy, Michigan. Did you get the Fred Maurice now?
No.
Fred Taylor, Maurice Jones-Drew?
Oh, yeah.
Jaguars running backs?
Yeah, I know who they are.
Yeah, well, that was the joke with the email. So, which, by the way, I saw a clip from the NFL Network of James Jones and Maurice Jones-Drew talking. I didn't even recognize Maurice Jones-Drew because his post-playing days have not been kind on his waistline.
Really? Is that chubby?
Yeah, he's chunked up.
Oh.
And he kind of was like that little,
he was a
pinballish. Yeah. But yeah, so I was watching this clip and they had James Jones had the Packers going 16-0. They're breaking down the Green Bay schedule. It's like, this one's a W, this one's a W. And then Maurice Jones-Drew is kind of like agreeing with them. And then he's like, all right, let's get real. This is a loss, this is a loss, this is a loss. Anyway. So, beat writer, I forget who this was. I did see this as well. But it was a beat writer for like Florida Times Union or somebody like that. And stated that Yeldon is not only the best pass catcher, he's the best pass blocker in the Jaguars' backfield right now. So you look at, this isn't necessarily, hey, you should be drafting Tavon Austin, because I'm definitely not on board with that. It's about getting excited about him. But Leonard Fournette has an ADP of the 112 right now in drafts. I might find people I like better than Fournette at the 112.
Yeah.
I mean, if he's not going to catch passes, Dave, that's so big.
No, I totally agree with you, actually. I was looking back at my Scott Fishbowl decision-making, actually, because I had the 8th pick. I ended up taking Hopkins, and I passed on Fournette as well as Kareem Hunt. And I think I'm regretting not grabbing Hunt.
Yeah, that's what I would have taken.
So I should have done that. But I did not really regret. And Fournette lasted a little bit. He got close to where I was picking the second round. And yeah, I think that's okay. I'm okay not having him on my team.
I've seen him slip in some football.
Keep in mind, the scoring system there is whack.
It's a little bit. It's not whack, it's just different. But Fournette, Scott, I am not saying that is.
Hey, Scott and I are buddies.
That is true.
In PPR formats, Fournette's not as much of a value. I think in a format like that, he's pretty alright.
I'm just looking at guys going behind Fournette in FFPC right now. Gronk is going behind him. I'd rather have Gronk over Fournette.
Yeah, in FFPC for sure.
Dalvin Cook. I'd rather have Dalvin Cook than Leonard Fournette at this point.
He has much more upside on the passing game.
Travis Kelce. I'd rather have him than Fournette. Even Keenan Allen. Here's where it's interesting.
Where's McCaffrey going?
That's the next guy I'm going to bring up.
McCaffrey's a total. I mean, McCaffrey to me is like a 70% chance to beat Fournette in PPR.
And he's going at the 206 right now.
Do you agree with me? I mean, by the way?
70%, you said?
Yeah, like 60, 70, maybe 70. But I mean, okay, and then you look at the floor.
Yeah, no, you're probably right. By the way,
Fournette could have like a huge, because their defense is good. He could have a huge season. But if he's not going to catch 40 to 50 passes, it's so tough to outscore other guys that are catching 70 to 80.
Right. One of the things that you have brought up on the show before is the sports injury predictor that you can get with your subscription to DraftSharks, and they just actually not re-released the rankings, but they baked in the sports injury predictor.
That's right, yeah.
Did you happen to see that at all?
I haven't looked at that.
I'm not going to reveal a lot of it. You want to check it out, go to DraftSharks.com. It's well worth your...
But you have to subscribe?
Yeah.
Oh, right.
Interesting name that we were just talking about in there. And I'm not going to say who it was.
All right.
But the fact that we talk about McCaffrey having a 60 to 70% chance of beating Fournette when you consider Fournette might not be catching passes, might not be as efficient as he was at the scoring touchdowns last year, and Aaron Renard got hurt this year. There's a lot of reasons to be taking McCaffrey over Fournette.
Plus, did you see McCaffrey like on Instagram? Like, dude, his arms are huge.
Yeah.
He's gotten really big. He's doing curls, and the 10 rep bench press. That's the thing in the past. He's up to like 12 to 15 reps now on the bench press for 225.
Fantastic. I'm trying to think who you're crushing on more this year for fantasy. Which Panther, Christian McCaffrey or DJ Moore?
Well, I I've always liked Steve Smith, right?
Yeah.
I think I'm just a Panthers fan. I don't really, I don't like the Packers, like their colors. I never liked them. And then,
for God's sake.
Then you have to listen to the fans talk the way that they speak. So I don't know. Maybe I've taken that C and I've turned it into an N. Maybe I'm just a Panthers fan. I wouldn't mind living in North Carolina either, by the way. Maybe I should just move there.
Our mutual friend, Josh Springer.
Yeah, he lives there. He likes it, right?
I was the best man at his wedding. He graduated high school. He lives right outside of Charlotte. And
he's one of the best coaches. Tell a little.
Yeah, he's
high school girls basketball.
Coaches at Providence Day School, and they have won, I think, 10 state titles in the last 12 years.
Yeah.
He sent several of his athletes on to D1 schools. Some play in the WNBA. And I actually just had breakfast with him a couple of days ago.
Very cool.
But
two celebrities having breakfast.
Oh yeah, we got mobbed. It was insane.
Everyone was recognizing.
We were pulling our hats down low and put the shades on. Didn't matter.
You know what's funny is if you guys were having breakfast together and then our buddy Leroy was with you. You know who was most likely to get recognized? Leroy.
Our buddy Leroy. Yeah.
That's right.
He's a friend of everybody here in the Fox Valley in northeast Wisconsin. Final email tonight, Brandon in Sterling, Illinois. Which tight end will you guys have on more teams this year? Austin Safarian Jenkins or Cameron Brate? Your show is the best. Thank you, Brandon. Your email is the best. We appreciate that. Austin Safarian Jenkins or Cameron Brate are basically going right around the same spot in FFPC drafts right now. Which guy do you like better? Which guy is going to be on more of the Dizzles teams this year?
I would take ASJ. I mean, he's sobered up and everything. That's great. Sounds like he's got his head on straight. And Brate still has to deal with, the first round pick of O.J. Howard. I think that's a problem. And then you have to deal with Jameis Winston.
Except for the Jameis Winston part, I could not have said it better myself. I am totally with you on ASJ over Brate. He is not going to be facing the type of tight end competition for targets that Cameron Brate will be. And, I mean, you could expand that. How much competition for targets is he just going to get in the passing game? You have Marquise Lee in Jacksonville. You have Dante Moncrief, Keelan Cole. I mean, these guys are not terribly exciting players. In Tampa, you have not only O.J. Howard, Ronald Jones, Mike Evans, Deshaun Jackson, Chris Godwin, Adam Humphries is there as
Justin
well.
Justin
Watson. Yeah. Is that the Harvard guy?
Penn. He went to Penn.
Sorry, God. Hopefully Kern Reeves is not listening. You cannot get these Ivy schools mixed up.
Get the Ivy Leagues right.
Do we ever get Cornell guys in the NFL?
Not generally.
We should ask.
They're probably better at lacrosse and fencing.
Is that big in the Ivy League? Fencing?
Yeah, don't do fencing.
Yeah.
By the way, your job.
Rowing, I thought it was.
Yeah,
rowing was big.
It's not called. What do they call it?
Crew. Excuse me.
Jeez, get your pretentious sports down, Bucky.
Yeah, I know.
So your daughter.
I have to research this after my NASCAR segment that I have a crew segment next week.
If your daughter and son, if they're depending upon their dimensions, they should either work at crew or fencing. Those are two underdone sports.
I think my daughter is going to have the dimensions for crew. My son for sure will not.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, you got to be like 6'3".
He's not.
With super long arms.
He's not.
Like the Winklevi.
Yeah.
Good for crew.
Exactly. Speaking of the Winklevi, have you seen the trailer for the movie Sorry to Bother You?
No.
Both these telemarketers. I think you would really enjoy this movie. Armie Hammer is in it. Danny Glover is in it. Two of your favorite actors.
Yeah,
I know. So they're both in it. I think you should listen. We're going to end the show.
It's called Sorry to Bother You.
Sorry to Bother You. Make a note of it. Pull up the trailer on your computer machine.
I will actually.
And Aaron, I actually showed it to our friend Aaron today at work.
All right.
I said, hey, I think you'll like this, and he's like, yeah, this looks really good.
Okay, cool.
That is going to do it for our show, ladies and gentlemen. I appreciate everybody who's tuning in live here on a Wednesday night. We would have loved to do the show on Friday like normal. It just didn't work out with schedules this week. However, we will return live next Friday, and we will have Mike Dante FPC and main event 5-time champ. He will be on next week. Pros versus Joe's competitor, and he made it in as a Joe this year, even though he's technically a pro, worked in the industry for many, many years.
Oh, it's so BS.
Yeah, but he made it in as a Joe.
That's pretty awesome.
Well, here's the thing. He's a free agent right now for the professional aspect of it. So he got in the hard way, and we're going to talk to him about that.
Good for him. That's awesome.
Next Friday. So that is our show. Thanks to Kino Moss, Dave Gerzak, the FFPC, Rob Bryce, and, of course, each and every one of you. Register for the Football Guys Players Championship, the main event, best ball leagues and dynasty leagues, all. I normally don't do that show, that local radio show. In the after, I was just filling in, and I realized I was going to have to do a NASCAR segment. I also did a little World Cup.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so that was fun. And normally,
Did it help that I talked about World Cup a little bit?
A little bit. Oh, by the way, sorry about your English team today.
That's right. France still
still got your France team in there.
Stupid England. They played much worse in Croatia. They deserve to lose.
So we did that, and then thank God there was normally a pick 3 segment where I'd have to do golf. But the guy I was filling in for is like, yeah, don't worry about it. I did that today. This is Tuesday. I did that today, so you didn't have to worry about it on Wednesday. I'm like, thank God, because I think if I had to do World Cup soccer, NASCAR, and golf in an hour-long show,
the Wimbledon's going on too.
And Roger Federer got upset today in a massive fifth set. It was 13-11 in the fifth set. I'm like, God, do I have to bring this up today? I'm like, I don't want to open up that can of worms.
He's good and he lost. That's weird.
So this isn't going to come as a surprise to you. The longest segment today, Packers running back.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, so it's something I understood, and hopefully it wasn't a fantasy heavy segment. This is a fantasy heavy show tonight. Enjoy your weekend, everybody. We'll talk to you next week.
See ya.
He dreams of playing in the big leagues, which is taking a toll on your dreams. Most people don't think about their home insurance until something happens. But talking to an American Family Insurance agent today can mean your dreams have better protection tomorrow. Visit amfam.com/home for a quote and see if your insurance measures up. American Family Insurance. Insure carefully. Dream fearlessly.
American Family Mutual Insurance Company, SI, and its operating company, 6000 American Parkway, Madison, Wisconsin, 53783.